Before we get to Chris, the two protest marches yesterday calling for Israel to get out of Gaza and in truth supporting by association the destruction of that nation could not have been more different. Different in size, different in mood, different in messaging. Sydney's blockade of the iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge marched behind a banner declaring it was a march for humanity. Melbourne, by contrast, saw masked men setting fire to the Australian flag, not once but twice. You must ask yourself of those Melbourne protesters, if you are so passionate about the Middle East conflict, why do you feel the need to disguise yourself behind a mask? That's gutless. And it says to me you're aware that the police probably believe you've been involved in incidents that would require a visit to police headquarters for a little chat. As for burning our flag, I know that that's not illegal. It should be, and I don't understand why it's not. And the writing on the road about Australia is a blunt, if stupidly dumb thing to say. They couldn't even spell the word Australia. But then again, none of these protesters are very smart. If they were, they would realise their disruption in both Sydney and Melbourne, shutting down major roads, will not make one jot of difference to anything Israel will or will not do in Gaza. We know the real reason Melbourne has had 92, I repeat, 92 pro-Palestine rallies in the CBD since October 7, 2023. On that date, and it's worth reminding all those protesters this, plus senior politicians as well, who seemed to endorse what was happening in both capital cities yesterday, that on that date more than 1,200 men, women and children and babies were slaughtered by terror group Hamas. That can't be forgotten. You can make all the excuses in the world, but Israel has and had a right to defend itself against a terrorist attack like that, just as we in Australia would expect to be able to defend ourselves if that happened here. Here's what the Victorian Premier had to say on the Today Show today about the protest being peaceful, according to her.
Overall, here in Melbourne, it was peaceful. There were no arrests, and I'm pleased about that. I'm grateful about that.
Well, the Premier clearly didn't watch coverage of the Melbourne March. What's peaceful about masked thugs setting fire to the Australian flag, Premier? In Canberra today, the Prime Minister was asked what he thought of the Sydney March. He's apparently unaware that Melbourne even had one.
Yesterday's march was peaceful and was an opportunity for people to express their concern about what is happening in Gaza and the images that we've seen. It's not surprising that so many Australians have been affected in order to want to show their concern at people being deprived of food and water and essential services. And so the demonstration in a democracy, it's important that people be able to express themselves.
Nothing about the hostages, nothing about Israel, nothing about pictures of Iranian leader Khomeini being shouldered behind people like Julian Assange and Craig Foster, a terrorist, this leader of Iran, a terrorist who has sponsored terror groups right around the Middle East. I mean, what I wished the Prime Minister was asked by some in the media in Canberra today was this question. Prime Minister, how would you feel and how do you think the Jewish population here in Australia would have felt yesterday watching those pictures on their television screen? Now, we will get that point of view later, but as it started with anti-Semitic Jew haters on October 8, 2023 at the Sydney Opera House chanting either "Where are the Jews?" or "Gas the Jews," depending upon who you talk to, and now has Israel being called out as conducting genocide and claims they are starving children deliberately as an act of war. The Jewish community has a right to ask, what happened to our hate laws? What happened to a crackdown on anti-Semitism? That's peaceful, is it? Peaceful. I mean, seriously, Palestine, from the river to the sea? What do we think that means?